Welcome everybody, welcome to 10-Minute Reviews. Jason here bringing you today's video. As always guys, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to check the links down below for links to today's book and anything else that might be applicable. I could use the traffic through the Amazon link, so I definitely appreciate it. The contest is obviously over. It was over almost a month ago. I'm sending out the emails right now to the winners. I do have more signed books, so I will be doing more contests coming up. And thank you very much to our patrons. I'll be sending out those prize winners as well. And otherwise, let's get into today's video. So today's video, I want to talk about one of my favorite author. Typically, I won't put any particular order to my authors, but this is hands down my favorite author. And having said that, most of you guys that have been watching a lot of my videos know who I'm going to talk about. John Ringo. John Ringo, and his new book that just came out called Beyond the Ranges. Beyond the Ranges. Now, this is an interesting book in the setup of the world. We basically have our modern times, modern humanity, and then everything changes. Everything changes. They wake up in the future. They don't realize it at the time. They wake up basically in little rooms. They wake up in little rooms to an announcement from the president. And basically what happened, Earth was destroyed. Earth was destroyed, and a select number of people were rescued by these extremely advanced, extremely powerful aliens, this alien society. They were rescued. They were, if they were older, they were age regressed back to about 20 years old, and then they were put on this space station. They were put on this space station above this world that has been terraformed for their own survival, so that they can colonize this world and go from there and rebuild their society. There's something like 500 million people or something like that, and they form, they have their own little world formed on this station basically. And there's some mysteries, like some of the damage to the shield on the station, things like that. But that's basically where it starts out. They do find out that it's been about 3 million of their Earth years since this happened. It took a while, I guess, to terraform a planet. Now, everything on the station is owned by everybody. Everything's broken into units. There's this whole economy thing that's pretty interesting that was created by Mr. Ringo. I'm not going to go into that because it could be a 30-minute video in and of itself on how this economy works. They were also broken up. They were also collected based on, for the most part, political affiliations. Now, this is the first time that there's been any real overt political, I don't want to say agenda, but political leanings written into one of his books. Now, since almost everything Mr. Ringo has ever written is military science fiction, he's clearly a conservative to begin with. But this time it becomes a little bit more overt. There's some political discussions in it, and everybody is a conservative on this particular space station and this world that they're going to colonize. There is a lot of hints and leanings that there are liberal worlds or liberal colonies, and there probably are other types of colonies as well, other political leaning types of colonies. But it's a very small part. It doesn't really affect too much of what goes on, other than everyone pretty much is getting in the harness and pulling together. Now, our main character, his name is Jason, and he is former military, but unlike a lot of the characters that Mr. Ringo likes to write about, he's not a former SEAL or Ranger or SF or Force Recon. He was a logistics guy. He was a logistics weenie. And then he was a hunter, and so on and so forth. There's other characters that come into this, farmers and such like this, but Jason is the main character. And one of the things that Mr. Ringo likes to write a lot of, this reminds me a lot of Troy Rising and that particular series, because of the creation of this sort of business empire. One of the things that Mr. Ringo likes to write about a lot is almost base building, or like civilization video game type of things, of just building up this world, starting with businesses, building up businesses to this, to that, expanding it out even more. And that's what Jason does. Jason realizes that, one, we're going to have to colonize this planet. We already know that. But with the way the economy is working out and the food situation is working out on the station, somebody needs to start getting some food some fresh food from in that planet right away. He's got some ideas for it. He sucks at business, so he gets one of his old business people and partners up with them. Then he partners up with his ex-wife's new husband, who's a banker, helps him create a bank. They create their little food company. He starts going down onto the planet and creating and getting food to bring up. Now, during this, and of course selling the food and all that, now during this, he uses the typical John Ringo cleverness that comes into play in using your environment and using this quasi-magical material, this flex metal or flex met that they get, in new and inventive ways, plus the AIs, the robots, the drones, such like that, to turn a whole bunch of industries on their heads as he starts figuring out more and more and more things to do. He rapidly turns himself into one of the most powerful, one of the richest and most well-known people. Builds what is probably the biggest and strongest company and the biggest and strongest economy. Solves the food issue. Learns some interesting things about, say, the construction industry and how he can turn that around on his head. The manufacturing issue. Looks a little bit at the future and what they're likely going to start needing in the future that a lot of people aren't thinking about. Starts to turn the banking industry on its head. This is an interesting book because it's not what I would call a slice of life. It's more of, like I said, like a base building, a resource management video game turned into a book. And there's been elements of this in a lot of the things that John Ringo's written about before, because he's good at it. He's good at it, he likes it, he's passionate about it, and he writes it really, 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 really well. I am really looking forward to this book, hopefully having a sequel. If it's anything like all the rest of the series he's written, he's not likely to ever finish it, but I am looking forward to reading more of it until he gets tired of it and moves on to something else. This is an awesome, awesome, awesome book. You guys all know he's my favorite author. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will catch you next time. Bye now.